Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Loan Officer Life, Hustle, Heart, and Home Ownership. This is episode 2 of the rebranded FinTech Fridays podcast. So if you're tuning into YouTube or Spotify and you thought you were going to see FinTech Fridays, you're in the right spot. But we're switching it up, and I'm super pumped today to have Carlos Scarpero with me. Carlos is a loan officer with Edge Home Finance. Carlos is down in Dayton, Ohio, about 4 hours south of me. I'm up in Detroit. Carlos has been crushing it on YouTube, and we're going to talk all things YouTube today. Carlos, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Brian.
So first of all, you and I have known each other for quite a while. Actually, I think back to my Flagstar days. We met maybe at one of the first AIM events, and so it's always good to catch up with you. But in the last, 3 to 6 months, every time I go on YouTube, you pop up. You're all over it. And I've seen you show up in some of the trade publications lately. And I'm like, I gotta get on here and figure out what the heck Carlos is, what he's found out on YouTube. And you've been on the platform, I think, since 2017. Is that right?
I have, yeah. I've been on there a while.
So let's get into it, man. Like what inspired you to kind of pick up the YouTube channel and start to create content there? And then what are you seeing from those efforts?
Yeah, for sure. YouTube is a great way to connect with your audience and really get people to know who you are, what you do. I think the big difference between me and other people is I am much more focused in what I do. I became a VA specialist about 5 years ago, and so my channel is almost entirely VA loan focused. And so I don't get into politics. I don't get into, and if I get into news, it's always from a perspective of veterans. And so I think that's my real first tip for everybody is understand your audience, understand why you're on the platform, who you're doing it to, what you're showing it, all those types of things. I ended up taking a YouTube class about 6 months ago, and that really helped me really understand how YouTube works. And so I think of YouTube as you're talking to one specific person. YouTube is really, and when you understand that, it makes it so much easier because you're like, okay, what does my one person want? And so for me, I think of, okay, who is that struggling veteran that got turned down by a big company, Veterans United, whoever, and what are they thinking? What's in their head? And so my channel is entirely about how to answer their questions. And really, that's most of my content is just answering those questions every time I get a chance. I'm not as consistent as I'd like to be, but whenever I get some time, I'll just go and post.
What was the YouTube class that you took? Like, where would I find that?
So Sean Cannell, a guy named Sean Cannell, he runs a program called Think Media. And so he has a lot of free YouTube content. And if that's someone you want to follow, I would suggest watch his YouTube content where he's got a video podcast, he does interviews, all that kind of stuff. And then he has a class called VRA, Video Ranking Academy. And that's the class that I take. And so it's $1,000, I think I paid. And you can do monthly too, but I just paid the $1,000 so that way you don't pay the extra fees for monthly payments. And yeah, it's a whole program, it's a whole system, and he's got a whole community of people you can follow, and there's coaches in there. They do channel reviews and all that kind of thing. But really, it's the core program. I didn't even really, even though I've done the bonuses, I've done some of the free coaching. Honestly, it's the core program that really inspired me to push my channel. And he talks about this thing called answer specific questions, ASQ. And that, to me, that's been the most insightful, where I think, okay, what is the specific question my audience is asking? And people think, oh my gosh, you need all this research to figure out what they're asking. Well, no, your people tell you every day what they're asking. I just do a lot of listening. Like, okay, when someone asks me something, or if I have to look up a guideline, that's probably something that other people are asking. And then that way I'll make a video around that. My personal philosophy is if I have to ask an AE a question about something VA specific, then most likely my audience doesn't know either, and it needs to be a video. So it might be something about divorce, might be something about just, some weird, can I count a certain, like I did one the other day, can I count educational expenses? Because I noticed there was a lot of bad content about, was it the the education stuff on VA. I forget the name of it now. Oh, the GI Bill. So I'm thinking the GI Bill. So there's a lot of misinformation about the GI Bill, and as us VA experts know, that you cannot count that income, but there's a lot of misinformation where veterans are thinking they could count that income because oftentimes it can be $3,000 or $4,000 a month, but VA guidelines state you can't count it. So I made a whole video about that. And I'm part of VA, so we had a whole conversation about another topic about subject to, which is basically when an investor takes over payments. And there was a whole controversy about that. Chris Griffith was really doing a push where, hey, we need to get this out, that this, can be a bad scenario for veterans. A lot of veterans are getting abused. And I said, you know what, that's a great YouTube topic. So I went and made a YouTube video around that. So it's just one of those things where I just listen to my audience, understand what they want, and just make videos around it.
So what I'm looking at your channel here. So, and I'll make sure in our, when we post this episode, we'll have all the links to all your socials, including your Home Loans by Carlos channel. You have 232 videos on there.
Yes.
I recall seeing or reading an article or seeing you on some social platform talking about a couple of videos that really that popped for you. It's one thing to put content out and educate people. That's awesome. And especially the audience that you're focused on are our nation's veterans. But this is actually a business for you. This is a business development platform for you, right? You're seeing inbound activity off of this as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that whatever activity you're doing, no matter what it is, you need to ask the borrower, where did you find me? Because that way you know what's working, right? And absolutely, I have people all the time say, I found you on YouTube. Oh, okay, which video? They won't always necessarily know which video they watched, but they just say, I found you on YouTube. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. We know it's working because they said they found me on YouTube. As far as videos popping, I do pay for some traffic too. Don't be afraid to pay, but you have to understand exactly what you're paying for. And it took me a long time to understand that. If you do decide to start paying for traffic on YouTube, you have to understand, okay, you have to understand who you're targeting, why you're targeting them, what the messaging is. And so it's not as simple as just paying and getting results. It's more, you have to understand, okay, here is my game plan, and here's why I'm paying for certain things to boost it. So I do a lot of lower credit score VA stuff. And so kind of my hook on that is, if you've been turned down by Veterans United, Quicken Loans, those kind of places, then there's a home for you. You could potentially still get a home loan. Don't give up. And so one of the videos that I promoted was, if you've been turned down by Veterans United, give me a call. Basically, it's a 1-minute video. And I think I'm at 140,000 views on the thing now at this point. And the entire premise of that video, it's not to solve the entire problem. It's only to get them hooked on my channel. It's only to get them to know who I am. And if in that scenario, at least look at my channel and see if it's a possibility that we could work together. It's not guaranteed, of course not, but it's just getting them from not knowing who I am to at least knowing that I'm out there. And like you've noticed that once you watch one video, guess what? You get recommended more and more often. And that's what I figured out. And that's what I figured out from VRA was, okay, all I have to do is make sure that as many people as possible know who I am. And that's kind of when I boost my traffic. It's really just making sure that core audience of veterans that are looking for a VA home loan at least know that I exist.
Carlos, 246,000 views on the video titled "What to Do If You Are Turned Down by Veterans United or Another Online Lender."
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and it's ranking too. Yeah, so it ranked. So yeah, it's not. So I did pay for some of that traffic, but it is ranking on Google as well for that phrase. I'm pretty sure I'm number one. I think I'm 1 and 2 because it's on my website too. That's the other thing I do because I have an SEO background. Is I'll cross promote my videos on my blog. And so that phrase, I purposely picked that phrase because I know that, one, it wasn't competitive. I knew that nobody else was targeting it. And two, I knew that even though, it's not a super trafficked phrase, that the people that are in that situation are very, very high intent and have a very good chance of needing me. And luckily, because I am a broker and I have so many services I work with, so many lenders I work with, that there's a lot of companies that will do those kind of loans. And we structured our business around, okay, how do we do those manual underwrites? How do we get those more challenging deals done. And yeah, it's exciting when I get a borrower that was turned down by the big online lender, and I say, you know what, Mr. Veteran or Mrs. Veteran, you are approved. And they're like, oh my God. Like I had
Yeah.
one yesterday. The dude literally cried on the phone. Like it was kind of a harder deal. We sent it to 3 different companies. EPM, which was company number 3, told us a yes yesterday, approved with conditions. And so the guy calls me. He's like, what is this approved with conditions thing, man? I was like, it means you're approved. He's like, what? Are you sure? Like, I kept having to like reassure the guy. And he was like literally crying. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. You know, oh my God. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And I was getting emotional too. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just another day to me. But to him, you know, it was an amazing day. And he still kept calling me. Well, what about this? And what about, like, we literally had 5 more conversations yesterday. Kept calling. Well, are they going to find this other thing?
And he found you from YouTube, from your YouTube channel.
He found me online. I don't know if it was from YouTube or another stores. Yeah. He did find me online though. He's in Texas. I don't live in Texas. He's in Texas, and it's a good loan size too. Don't think that these are small loan sizes. That one was $585,000, something like that. Yeah, it was over 500. My loan sizes have gone up significantly since I did this online thing because I'm here in Ohio where our houses are much smaller, and so we don't typically get the big loan sizes here in Dayton. It's been interesting how my loan size, my averages have definitely gone up since I've taken a more online approach.
So I'm curious. So YouTube sits here and it's driving traffic. What kind of systems or processes have you created once once you have a lead coming off of either your online presence or YouTube? Like, what are some things that you're doing that are helping you with conversion?
Yeah, my conversion strategy is actually amazingly simple. It's really a quiz funnel, and so on my homepage it basically says, you know, take the 30-second qualification quiz. Because somebody's like 30 seconds and they only do a credit pull, and it's a true quiz. I'll ask them like 15 questions, and the main one is your credit score question. And if they have a lower credit score, it will tweak the answer at the end. It'll say, hey, you know, based on your credit score, it might be a challenge, but call me. But at the end of the next sentence is call me anyway, because I might be able to help you. And yeah, it tweaks it a little bit. And if they say they have over a 580 score, then it's going to be like, oh yeah, things look pretty good. You can probably qualify for this. And then after that, yeah, I have Bonzo. Yeah, I've looked into some other CRMs. Bonzo's good enough. You know, I've looked into, you know, oh, I should change to this and I should change to that. But after a while, if you're already into a certain platform, it becomes too much hassle to move it. And yeah, maybe if I'd started on a different platform, I might have done it. But what I find is that sometimes people will get so excited about, oh, I need to be on this hot new platform, when maybe it's better to just reuse the platform you got. Maybe it's better to just relearn it. And so I looked into moving from Bonzo to the other big one that everybody's using. And it became so much of a pain to constantly think about, oh, you know, about the spam filters and about setting up this and setting up that. At the end of the day, it was distracting me from the true work, which is getting the leads in there and getting the leads followed up on. So right now, I do use Bonzo. I still Constant Contact for years. I used to be a partner with them. I'm still technically a partner. So I have a free account with them under my partner portal. So that's a little bit unusual for me. And I still get $250 a month. Like I had to declare, it's tax day, I had to declare like $2,700 payments from them, even though I haven't sold it for 7 years, because I get the residuals because I'm still technically a partner with them. But unfortunately, I was hoping to pitch them for mortgage, but I think I'm the only mortgage person left on Constant Contact. Apparently they've gotten tighter with mortgage people. And so I've referred a few people to Constant Contact, but then they've gotten kicked back off. They're like, oh, you're in mortgage, we can't do it. And luckily, because I've been on there for 10, but I've been on there for 10 or 11 years. You know, I've had my partner account for years and years. And so they kind of grandfathered me in. And so I'm a little bit different in that respect. But as far as follow-up, it's really, you just got to figure out, okay, what does my borrower want? And oftentimes my follow-up is as simple as, I have a new video, go watch it. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. Yeah, but you do have to have a platform where you can send the message, whether it's text or email or whatever. Don't overthink it. And so my follow-up is really, I try to get as many emails out as possible with really the message is often, hey, I've got a new video. I do want to do a homeownership type class, like a step-by-step series. And that can be more of an ongoing video series where it creates content for me, but it also creates that follow-up, because then I can put that series into an email campaign and just send a weekly email blast for 10 or 12 weeks. And so those are kind of the main areas I do right now.
Yeah, I love the idea of a home ownership class. I can imagine. Again, I'm looking at your channel, and I could almost visualize how it would kind of position on the channel, and probably have some massive.
Yeah, and there's debate. I talked to some people that are like, oh, it needs to be gated, and and you should do it through your CRM and all that stuff. And there's pros and cons of everything, right? The problem with gating it through a CRM, one, is more complex, and I think loan officers will get stuck in the technology side of it. That if you don't know the CRM, then because then you're like, oh my gosh, what software do I need? What do I need? How do I do this? How do I prevent that? As opposed to just make the dang videos. Just plot it out. And that's one of the things I need to do is figure out, what do I want this class to accomplish? And what do I want each video to say? What does the title of each video need to be? How long do I make each video? Like all that kind of stuff. I just need to think that out. I haven't done that yet. It's on my goal sheet. And like I said, most people just overthink it. They're like, oh my God, I need this, I need that, I need the software, I need the camera, I need the microphone. Just record it. Record it, whatever you got. If you got your cell phone, record your cell phone. If you got a webcam, use a webcam. If you got a fancier camera, fine, use that. But, a lot of people overthink it and don't really figure out how to structure it. And so when I do it, I'll do it as a playlist. And that way, YouTube will push out that playlist. And then also, people that have already watched my videos that maybe they don't subscribe to my channel will still see it. And then I'll also got my email list, so I can push my email list onto that playlist too. So there's multiple ways to do it. And that's why I prefer that to gating it, because gating is, is where you have it on a private platform, whatever that platform might be, whether it's school or, some CRM system. The problem with that is then you don't get that additional traffic. You only get the traffic from people that subscribed, which is viable traffic too, don't get me wrong. But personally, I like to make my videos public. Whoever sees it. If they subscribe to my channel, fine. If they subscribe to my email list, fine. But I don't want just those people to see it. I want as many people as possible to see what I do.
Yeah, I'm taking a lesson here because I'm looking at your playlist that you created. You've got VA loan assumptions, VA reno, getting a VA loan with bad credit. That has 37 videos in it. Refinancing. What I need to, again, I'm on YouTube and we put content on YouTube, but as I look at the way you've organized your channel, I need to kind of go back and rethink, how we organize our content. Is it like a work in progress for you? Are you constantly tweaking the channel?
Yeah, there's never a done. It's always a work in progress for sure. It's one of those where you think of something and when I make the class, I'll have to figure out, and I think I did create a playlist at one time called Fitting a Mortgage Step by Step or something like that. I started down that road. I just need to tweak it a little bit. And especially the back credit stuff, because I've really pushed hard on that content because there's not very much good value on that content. So the bad credit side, I've probably got more content than anybody. And people are like, oh my gosh, bad credit. Yeah. You'll get a few that are total knuckleheads that, are in foreclosure and really shouldn't be homeowners and whatever. But there are quite a bit that got overlooked that turn into deals. And when they do, it's amazing. And oftentimes it's, this guy just needs credit repair. Let's put him in credit repair and call me back in 6 months. That happens too.
Right.
And so don't get too, if you go down the bad credit path, don't get too paranoid and be like, oh my God, it's only, people that are broke that have bad credit. People have all kinds of stories, and it's a very different mindset. And I have to take almost. I'm married to a social worker, so I almost have to have a social worker mindset. And somebody had actually told me that you have a kind of a social worker mindset. And I was like, well, I'm married to one, so maybe that's part of it. But you have to just really be caring, listen, understand the story. Luckily, the way VA is structured, where it's so much of a story-based program, that I can look at the credit, like this guy yesterday that I approved. If you looked at the credit report without calling him, you would be, and looked at the bank statement, you would be like, oh my God, this guy's a nightmare. I can't believe you approved this guy. But then when I called him, I started digging deeper. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why do you have this balance? Why is this? Why is that? And I realized, oh, wait, this guy just had a couple bad months, but here's what we can pitch. Here's where it works. Here's where it meets guidelines. And then at that point, it's all about structuring and packaging. Then I talk about processor. I'm like, okay, we need to get a good lot of explanation from this guy. he told me on the phone what we need, but we need to get that on paper so that way the underwriter understands our side of the story. And luckily,
Yeah.
at APM, they're flexible enough. The underwriter did understand our story, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right, cool." But yeah, but a lot of times that's all about skill set. That's about understanding programs, and that's where becoming a specialist becomes more important, because the more you specialize in a topic, the more you're super good at those really, really weird guidelines, and the more you can figure out, oh, okay, this is what we need to do to make this work. And the more you can make crazy videos about it, because the deeper you are into a topic, the more the weird situations come up to start with. And the more it's kind of the cycle that, the more VA stuff I do, the more weird scenarios I do, the more I'm calling my AE about some weird scenario that they've never seen before. And that scenario becomes a new topic. So it's all kind of, it all ties together, if that makes sense.
So good. Carlos, man, this has been really enlightening for me. I appreciate what you're doing out there. I love your mission to serve veterans. Of course, I'm a big fan of Vetted VA, big fan of Edge Home Finance, and also a big fan of yours. So thanks for joining me today on Loan Officer Life.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, make sure you follow Carlos. We're going to put all of his content in the notes here. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and then be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, where we will replay this episode this Saturday. Carlos, thanks again, man.
Yeah, thank you.